And also, one thing I would say to parents out there is when your kids are doing this stuff, never tell them you're rebellious, you're a bad kid. Like if they steal stuff, don't say you're a stealer, because if you tell them, they might believe it and they'll go on, oh, if I am a stealer, why don't I just steal?
Hello everyone, we are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. All right, well, we are still in studio with Miss Chrissy Lou Francis.
Hello again.
I want to continue our conversation about this because I don't know, I'm feeling a lot of life on this. Like there's going to be some parents and even kids that are listening to this that are going to start learning how to communicate better and just some simple strategies for doing this. Chris, I was wondering, are you cool with us talking through a little bit of the situation that happened a few years ago when you were behind on some homework, right? Now, I know this is a hard thing. So, this is already obviously forgiven and forgotten. Some of the greatest lessons I've ever been able to teach anybody is from some things that I've done and I've made mistakes. And now I get to just be able to share the learning lesson from them because, let's face it, it's one of our philosophies in our household, right? Sometimes you win and sometimes you
learn. I actually can laugh through that entire situation because it was so many years ago and it's not even brought up anymore. I don't even feel bad for it. I'm just I'll do my homework now. It's fine. My parents, yes, it was hard to go through at the time, but now that it's done with, I don't mind talking about it.
So let's kind of talk about the scenario around it for 1 minute. Okay, so I don't even know, 3 or 4 years ago, something like that, maybe 5 years ago. I can't even remember now.
It was a season, it's that age, all of my siblings even, we went through a season of rebellion. Sure. All of us at that age.
So what happened? Hold on, we got to talk about the situation because they don't fully understand it yet. So whatever, 5 years ago, let's say, Chrissy was doing homework, and I have given the kids leeway to do the homework in an area where I could supervise it. But while they were doing the homework, I would be working on things myself sometimes. Mm-hmm. And with that came doing some individual work. And Chrissy was supposed to be sitting there doing some individual work. And after, I think about a month, it was time to check in with all the homework. Right?
Yeah, well, it was my sister's. It was English, and I did not like English at the time. But it was diagramming sentences, and what happened, it was a quiz or a review or something like that, and my sisters had the same question. So what I did is Mom was like, okay, how did you do that? Go bring your paper here. So I did it really fast and covered the rest of the paper with, drawings I had done. And then Mom's like, what is this? So she pulled away the papers, and she's like, what happened? And so I pushed it off. I was like, oh, I just didn't do it, whatever. So then a week later, she found that half of my subjects I had been skipping on. And she's like, do you want I remember the conversation. Abby was doing something at her desk and everybody else was outside. And we were on the floor and she was looking through all my books. And she was like, do you want to tell me anything before I open it up? I was like, I skipped the back page.
So she'd been skipping several homework assignments at this point.
Yeah.
But I gave you the opportunity to tell me. I at first said, is there anything you want to talk to me about?
Yeah.
And at that point you were kind of I think so.
Yeah.
Right?
But at first, with the diagramming sentences and the English thing, I'd pushed it off for a week. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, did not make things better. Because then by the time I had done it, Mom was like, Chrissy, you did this and then you lied to me about it. You did it. Okay, we can fix that, but you lied to me about it. So I remember telling my dad, Mom's like, okay, Chrissy, what did you do? And I go, I skipped my homework and lied about it. And it was bad because we had to go over it all. And it was yeah. And then, so what we eventually did, Mom was like, okay, you're going to have to redo all these subjects. And I remember, yeah, a lot of things came up then because I remember a lot of times when me and Mom got alone, I told her more stuff that I had been doing because I couldn't hold it anymore. So then we fixed it all and it was I had to go upstairs in Mom's office and work real school hours on my homeschool, we get done when we get done, but I had to work from like 10 to 3 or something like that, doing my homework, and because I had to redo it all, because I couldn't just skip it. Mom and Dad were going to make me fix it. And I remember not wanting to do it, so I would go to the bathroom claiming I had to go number 2, and I would try and sit on the toilet for a long time and then go back to my homework.
So that was the scenario.
We call it creative avoidance.
Yeah.
That was what we were dealing with. And I just want to tell you guys out there.
Like, what have you been eating, Chrissy? You've been in the bathroom a lot.
I just want to tell you guys, though, Chrissy, I love your honesty.
You're the best.
I will tell you, it's so interesting because it was a lesson learned in that time of, for every action, there's a reaction, right? Mm-hmm. So because the actions you took were not lining up with the standards of what was expected for us in our family, you had to fix them, correct? Mm-hmm. So, but once it all came out, once we discussed it, once you finally explained everything to me, how did you feel?
It was so much better. I don't even remember how I felt before, but I'm sure it was horrible. And like my big subjects that I skipped was like math. And now I'm like ahead in math, and I have like a really high good average, and it's like I'm with my older sisters and everything. So it's like, it's not that I wasn't good at it. It's just I just didn't want to do it. It's just that I don't know why I chose to skip it. And yeah, we fixed it and moving on.
Well, I remember this season. And I remember Mom and I have learned through experience and honestly through Holy Spirit guidance that something's up, and typically, like at that time, Chrissy, with you probably don't remember it, but you're such a lighthearted, fun, just like twirling in the room and laughing about things. You have the best laugh when we get cry laughing. Yeah. It's so fun. But you were starting to just kind of, in general, act a lot more serious, a little bit more disengaged in general. And Mom and I could sense it. And we were like, something's going on. And what it was, come to find out, was that you're just getting so eat up with guilt, right? Yeah. Like, none of us operate well under guilt. And because what happens is we feel guilt. Sometimes that guilt's a healthy guilt because it's like, I think it's a way the Holy Spirit's like, hey, you're doing something wrong. You got to do something better here, But then eventually it can almost turn into like a level of condemnation where it's so like getting so ingrained in you that now you start believing in yourself less or start feeling like you are like there's something wrong with you or that you are not, it's not that you just made a mistake, but you are a mistake kind of a thing. And that stuff starts building and building and building, correct?
Mm-hmm. It does for sure build. Yeah. I would like start worrying about things more, like whatever it was, like, I don't even know. I would just start worrying about things that I normally for sure would not worry about. And that, I feel like that season really triggered a lot of stuff that I had to learn through, but I learned through them. Like my parents forced me to learn through them because like, I can't just waste that season. They made me learn through them, and it helped me to be who I am today.
Yeah. And it's like, part of one of our key core philosophies in our household is if you don't do it right, you have to do it
over.
Right. And so here it was, you were cutting some corners, which then ultimately the thing it hurt the most was just you, right? Because of just how much it affects you internally, because it's not who you are, right? You're an amazing student. You're a super disciplined kid. You're very honest. Like you're super honest at your core. That is just who you are and who God made you. So when there's a level of any kind of dishonesty, it really bothers you. Yeah. Right. And so we just had to help get you back to who you are, And
I think too, as parents, sometimes you can sit there and that guilt can come over like, what did I do wrong? How did I cause this? Why did this happen? Type thing. Especially when you feel like you're so engaged in every area. You're like, I am so present. How did this happen? And it's like, because by default, people are going to rebel, like including kids sometimes when they don't feel like doing something. You heard her. It wasn't even that she didn't like certain subjects or anything like that. She just didn't feel like doing it sometimes. And so I think that gave us an opportunity to walk through that we all have to do things sometimes we don't like to do, but there's still a standard in how we do it. And then through that learning process today, I mean, you love writing.
Yes.
You love your math. You know, science is one of your best subjects you love to study. I mean, it's like by nature, once you got through that, which I will just tell you, it was about a 30-day cleanup.
At least.
Like she had to go back and really, redo many things. She had to clean it up. You know, the mess had happened. Now it was time to clean it up. But through that whole season, we didn't just isolate her. You know, she had to go and get some work done for sure. But then after her work was done, playing still resumed, family time resumed.
Right. Like, it's not like everybody treated me different. I just had to go fix my stuff.
Right.
And my siblings wanted me to be done so bad. They're like, we want to play with you. Can you be done?
Well, they love and missed you. And so when you were still working on your homework, when they'd been done for 3 hours, they literally like, are you done yet? I think literally they wanted to help you at one point.
Sure, they felt bad for you too.
Yeah.
But that goes to show, though, how important it is that, and after that, once Chrissy was back, working on her homework with all her siblings, it was like, again, the standard was restored. Nobody was checking over her shoulder 24/7, assuming that she was going to do the same thing. We knew that you were changed. I will tell you, too, though, that as siblings were around, if they saw something that started changing you again, they'd be like, hey, Mom, Chrissy's taking a little too long on this or not as long on this. Just wanted to let you aware. They never did it to embarrass you. They always came to me privately. And I'd be like, hey, Chris, can we just look over some of your stuff? And again, you had already cleaned it up. So it was not like there's anything to be concerned about. But as a parent, I also felt like it was right for me to check on some of that sometimes, to make sure that, that change had happened and it was a permanent change.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, good stuff.
It is good.
Thanks for being so honest about it. It's not really that fun to talk about, is it? Now that we've done it.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, gotta relive it again.
Maybe get upset about it a little bit. I will tell you, though, because of that, how many times have you been able to then see changes in your siblings that you've been able to bring to the surface to us?
Yeah, I realize how similar some of my siblings are with me. Like, whether it's older or younger, I can tell, like, okay, I do that when I'm starting to get a little off track. So if they're doing that, I better see what's going on.
Right. And then you usually bring it to me, too, and you're very aware of it. And again, you said it earlier, Chrissy was not the only one that's pushed the buttons on not wanting to do homework.
I watched all my younger siblings do it.
All of them have.
I'm like, guys, don't do that.
I know what this feels like. I know what can happen.
I'm like, I literally am watching them go through their season, like whether it was 3 days or 6 months that they had to go through, they had to go through it. And I like watch them do it, and I know how to treat them, how not to treat them during it. Because I'm like, you can't discipline them after the parents already did. You can't be like, Ellie, you should have listened to me or whatever, You had to just let them do their thing, and they learn on their own because the guilt gets to them. They're disciplined. They learn it. So just let them do their thing.
So what's your advice to other kids out there when it comes to like this topic, when you almost feel like, maybe it'll be better if I just cut some corners because I don't feel like doing something or it's hard or whatever. What would your advice be?
My advice is never cut corners because I know myself. Any minute I do something, I know I'm going to have to tell. And that is so much worse than just spending 3 extra minutes doing an extra math problem.
That's such good advice.
Because you can live. I mean, you could push it back, but other people are going to get it out of you. Our philosophy is if you don't tell, it's going to be found out. So I'm like, tell it if you already did it. Or just don't do it because it's not worth it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. I had to go through stuff, and it's not worth it to cut corners. So even if you did do it, just tell your parents. They're gonna understand because they did it. I'm sure too. Just saying. I've heard parents. I've heard my
some
stories.
parents that have done that. Huh?
Kind of. I've heard my parents tell stories of whether they skipped homework or whatever, and they don't tell it so that we know to redo it. They just say, you're not the only ones. We did it too. We're still the people who we are today.
That's right.
You can still get through it.
Yeah, the reality is, we're really open about the way that we grew up, in particular on my side. I didn't have a lot of guidance in these kind of areas. And so I would be the opposite example of when I started testing these things, I didn't have anybody really to correct me. And so then I kept doing it, right? And then it turned into like this series of really cutting corners all through school. Like I became so good at it that I could get good grades without really learning anything, you know? But I will tell you though, it really hurt my confidence, like big time. And even when I got into college, now there was so many things that I did not understand, although I was a straight A student. And so then I always felt like I was behind, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And eventually you almost feel like you're not that smart about stuff. And I, and know that I am. It was just like these bad habits compounding. And so, here we've done this wrong, or at least I've done this wrong, and knowing the negative impact it can make. That's why we keep teaching you guys how to do it better. Right.
And also, one thing I would say to parents out there is when your kids are doing this stuff, never tell them you're rebellious, you're a bad kid. Like if they steal stuff, don't say you're a stealer, because if you tell them, they might believe it and they'll go on, oh, if I am a stealer, why don't I just steal? Like, why don't I just keep doing it? Because if my parents told me you're a liar, then I'd be like, then can I lie? If I am a liar, like, can I lie?
That's really good. I think we need to talk about this in the next one.
Because if like my parents already know I'm a liar, then why don't I just lie?
Hold that thought. Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. And we have great news. You get more of us. You can expect new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. So be sure to consistently tune in with us and enjoy our show. See you next time.